everyone, the topic that I have for today is API testing unlocked. Allow me to quickly introduce myself Jency. I'm into the software testing field for almost 9 years now. Currently, I'm working with Millennium IT Services as senior QA engineer. Some personal facts about me: I'm a mom of a 4-year-old kid. I hold ISTQB CTFL and CTAE certification. I'm a certified mentor from Mentoring Club. Recently, I have started contributing to testing communities. That's all about me. So what I have in store for you all today, we'll be knowing about APIs and API testing. I'll be talking about Postman, a very popular tool for testing your APIs. Some interesting features in Postman like mocking, monitoring, how do I back up my test scripts using GitLab, and towards the end we'll be talking about Postman end-to-end test integrated with GitHub Actions. So let's get started off with it. APIs. Technically, API stands for Application Programming Interface. Like the name suggests, it's an interface that helps two different applications to communicate between each other. For example, let's say I want to book a ticket from Malaysian Airlines. I can do that directly via Malaysian Airlines, but I'm planning to do it via booking.com. So what happens in the background? Malaysian Airlines, what it does is it creates an API and shares this API with these travel agencies like booking.com, Trivago, and so on, which helps us to book our tickets very quickly. So this is how APIs come into our day-to-day life and makes our life easy. So now that we have known APIs, it becomes obvious that API testing is nothing but testing whether your API works as expected or not. So certain features that we need to consider while testing your APIs, that's about performance, security, functionality, reliability, and so on. In other terms, if I have to put these features, whether your API is able to handle multiple users simultaneously, whether your API is giving you the response as expected, and so on. To test these APIs, we have different API testing tools available in market. One such popular tool is Postman, which we'll be talking in detail or in brief today. So let's know about Postman. Postman in general is an API development environment, I can say. So if you ask me like how many developers right now are using Postman, the answer to is like more than 7 million developers are using Postman today. It's not about just development. With Postman, you can design, you can build, you can test, you can mock, you can document, and even you can publish APIs. In today's session, we'll be talking about the testing area in Postman. So let's check out how this Postman will look like when you launch it in your desktop. So when you launch it, this is how the UI will look like. And to get started off with it, you have to start with the workspace. Workspace is nothing but the playground, I can say, where you can play with your APIs. We have collections to it, which is nothing but a repository of saved requests. The next component is about APIs, where holds the APIs. Environment is nothing but which helps you to play with data sets. Mock servers and monitors are the two interesting features which we'll be talking about in detail in today's session. Workflows are in the beta version. That's an add-on feature in recent days. So this is all about Postman. So let's check out the interesting features. Although it's very common that right now people are more aware of Postman, we'll be talking about the add-on features that have recently been captured in Postman. One such is about mocking. Mocking is nothing but faking. Yes, you hear it right. It's faking. So what is this mock? Mocks are like, it can be seen in different areas of the API development lifecycle, but to be specific, or commonly it is used in the design or the early phase of API development lifecycle. So being in an agile world, how we as testers can participate in the early phase of our development lifecycle. We as API testers are normally provided with the API documentation. These API documents normally holds the sample responses. So what do we do with this? You can use these sample responses and create a mock API and use these endpoints in your testing activity. Postman has an inbuilt feature wherein you can create your mock servers from the scratch, or even you can add mocks to your existing collection. So let's check out how it can be useful in the testing activity with Postman. So with mock servers, I have already created a mock server from my scratch. So once you create it, you will have the environment automatically generated with you based on your settings. So the environment holds the URL, mock URL, and Postman creates a collection for us with the request that we have defined. So based on which a default example gets generated with the response body and the response code that you have configured. So let's say I want to do multiple scenarios to be tested with my mock. So how do I do that? You just need to duplicate the example that you have that got generated with Postman, and then add on the response body and the response code based on the scenarios that you have in your API doc. But how do you tell Postman to hit that particular endpoint or that particular response to be like evaluated? For this, it has a header feature that is like tied up to it. Let's check out that header feature in this. So in collection, if you see, when I go back to this Postman collection flow, this is the collection that is like added. And when I click on this example request, there is an option of headers wherein you can add the key named as, if you click on the key, so this is the key that gets added, wherein you can just pass on the value of response that needs to be done, and just with the send hit you can validate your different scenarios in your API endpoint. So this is how beautifully mocking helps you in the API testing. The next topic is about monitoring. Monitoring is an important topic that needs to be coupled with API testing. In order to ship a quality product to your customers, it's always good to have API testing and API monitoring in one place. And Postman helps you to do that, or Postman provides you this visibility. In Postman, we have two different kinds or two different types of monitors. One is collection-based monitors and other is uptime monitors. Collection-based monitors helps you to test your or monitor your endpoints at the collection level, wherein you can monitor critical API workflows. Uptime monitor enables you to keep a watch or helps you to monitor single API endpoint, wherein you can monitor your website whether it is up or not. So let's check one by them how it looks like. Collection based monitor. I have already created a monitor from my collection. So once the monitor is created, it looks something like this. I have scheduled my monitor to run every day at 5 p.m. So every day 5 p.m. sharp, my monitor will be running. Also, I have integrated my monitor to my Slack account, by which my monitor, once it is like hit, I get a notification in my Slack account providing me the test results of my monitor. Isn't that interesting? Yes, it is. So now let's see how Uptime Monitor can give you the feature. Uptime Monitor, it's still in the beta version. So it's only available in the web version. So let's go to the web version. So in monitor section, you can just click on this press plus button and it lands up to the create uptime monitor feature, wherein you just need to give the URL and the monitor name. Once that is done, this is how your uptime monitor will look like. Right now, my uptime monitor is like scheduled in this pattern, and it is like set on a frequency of every 15 minutes. It helps me to check whether my website is up or not. This is an important feature in Postman, and it's quite interesting and handy as well. The next topic is about how do I back up my test scripts. You might be like working with multiple projects, and you will be like working with many collections that are like, you'll be using day in and out. How do you do, or how do you maintain your collections? Postman has a feasibility where you can integrate your GitLab account to your Postman. So in order to do that, you just need few prerequisites. You need to have a GitLab account. Along with that, you need to create a personal access token for yourself. Make sure you keep it handy with you. After which you can just come to Postman from the home page, go to integration, browse all integration, select the GitLab feature. After which you can just select the option of backup a collection. Once you click this backup collection, it will ask you for the authentication, wherein you need to pass the personal access token. Once your configuration is all done, go to the GitLab account, and that's where your project is visible. And under your projects, you can just check whether your collection is like added or not. Yes, it's added, and the collection is in the JSON format. The beauty here is like whenever your collection gets updated in Postman, it's automatically reflected in GitLab. So you need not come to GitLab and upload or do some manual intervention here. Automatically your collection gets synced to your GitLab account. This is one important and interesting feature. If you haven't tried it, do give it a try. The next topic, or the interesting topic that I would like to highlight today, is about the end-to-end test integrated into GitHub. So how do you do that? or what all things can be done in the end-to-end flow. You can run your test using NEWMAN. You can generate beautiful reports. You can upload the results in the GitLab Actions artifacts section. Also, you can notify in your Slack account the test runs. So before we deep dive into the GitHub feature, let's understand the traditional approach of NEWMAN. NEWMAN, who's NEWMAN? I normally address him as brother of Postman. NEWMAN is nothing but a command line feature that helps you to run your collections from the command line. It's basically your command line executor of your collections. So in traditional way, how do you run that? The prerequisite here is like you need to export your collection and make sure your NEWMAN and Node.js is already installed in your machine. And then just you needed to pass this command NEWMAN run and hit your collection with the collection name. Once your collection is like executed, your test run will look something like this. But the drawback here is like every now and then you have to export your collection and then come to your command line and hit this command every now and then. So whenever you do your modification in collection, that doesn't get reflected towards it. So in order to avoid this, we have GitHub, a beautiful feature, GitHub Action, that helps you to configure this in an automated fashion. GitHub Actions are event driven, meaning that you can run series of commands after a specified event has occurred. Let's understand the structure of GitHub Actions in simple terms. All GitHub action begins with an event. Event helps you to trigger or tells the GitHub to run the configured actions. So the commonly used events when it comes to testing area is push and pull request. Push is nothing but which get triggers when a user pushes into a branch. Pull request is nothing but which gets triggered when a pull request is received in your repository. So now that I'm talking about trigger here and there, what exactly gets triggered? It's nothing but your workflows. Workflow is a component that holds your job. So what is job? Jobs are nothing but it's a configuration that holds all your steps. So what is steps? Steps is nothing but it's are the different commands that you set in order to tell GitHub to perform. So let's understand this with an example. So this is a code snippet that I have drafted wherein it helps me to run my collection and creates a beautiful HTML report for me. So here, if you see, this is where you define the workflow name, followed by you have to define the job, which helps you to run your Postman collection. After which, in order to run my Postman collection, I need my Node.js and NEWMAN to be installed. So this is where the install feature comes into picture. And then comes my command where I need to pass my NEWMAN command in order to execute it. The beautiful feature here is about the secret repository. You can create your Postman API key and collection ID as the secrets. So here I'm not hard coding or doing any Postman collection backup here. I'm just using my collection ID which got generated in Postman and my Postman API key which has been tagged to my account, by which every now and then when my collection gets updated, I need not do manual intention of exporting it. It will be directly reflected in my collection ID and Postman API key. So this is how automatically you are syncing up with GitHub. So then towards the end, I'm just placing my report that I have generated in my test run to my workspace, which is something as a custom in CI/CD process where we need a workspace to upload the artifact. So I'm just uploading my test result in this particular artifacts. So how this entire process looks like, let me show you with a demo. So here is how your GitHub feature will look like. So once you click on the new repository, this is the page that will give you. You have to just input your repository name. Once that is done, it takes you to this page wherein you need to click the actions, create or configure your workflow. Click on the workflow. This will take you to a page where it will give you to input your code. All actions are in YML format, so you need to define your script in that manner. So this is this similar script that I just now showed in the previous slide. So once this is like committed, your job gets triggered and you can run view your runs from this particular option run. So once I click on that, it takes me to the actions tab wherein I can see whether my job was executed fine or not. Once I click on that, I have my test result executed along with the artifact that is nothing but the test report that got generated. So once I click on this test result, you see the different tests that got performed. It gives you the quick snippet of how the test was like executed. When I click on the artifacts area, this is nothing but the artifact. Once you double click on that, a zip folder gets generated with the report. Unzip it. If you open it, this is how your NEWMAN report looks like. And this is the beauty where you can have the detailed information of all the requests that got executed with the test run. Not only this, you can also notify your Slack account. For this, you just need to enable your incoming webhook, get the webhook, pass it along with your command, wherein you are passing the NEWMAN command. So once the job is like all run, you get a notification in your Slack account, something like this. So this is how your entire end-to-end flow of testing will look like. Isn't that interesting? Please give it a try. Your end-to-end flow looks in this similar pattern. You can run your test, create your test report, place it in your GitHub Actions workspace. Also, you can notify your team via Slack channel saying that your test was run, passed or not. So this was an interesting feature in Postman. In recent times, I explored it. So this is how you can perform your end-to-end API test using GitHub Actions. To sum up my talk today, so let's have a quick recap. So we saw what APIs are. So APIs are the connectivity network that binds today's digital ecosystem. API testing is a necessity. Postman is a very user-friendly tool. We have unlocked a few interesting features in Postman. So what are the topics that we talked about? Mocking, monitoring. We saw how to back up a collection using GitLab. We also saw the end-to-end test with GitHub Actions. There are many more features added on in Postman. Do give it a try, explore it, and make your API testing fruitful. Thank you so much for this opportunity. You can always feel free to connect with me in LinkedIn and Twitter. Thank you so much.